Today's animation with LottieFiles state machines is a fintech app, card, block and unblock animation. With this animation, users can instantly see what happens when they block and unblock their payment cards in their fintech app. This is one of the most important features of any fintech app that offer cards, because cards can fall into the wrong hands at any time. With most fintech apps these days, with just a toggle, users can instantly stop unauthorized withdrawals and protect their money. And there's a fintech app that is really doing this well in Nigeria. Is called Kuda. This is like a rework of the animation, a LottieFile animation that they already have going on their website. So let me just show you what it does. I'm just going to start, and we have this. It shows the card from being unblocked to blocked. Then I can unblock the card, and this animation plays. Now I can make payments with that card again, with the same card, with just a simple toggle. I can block the card again, and payments are going to be declined. I can unblock, and users can switch between the block and unblock states as they deem fit. And this is, like I said, this is an existing animation on the Kuda fintech app website. So let me just refresh this. And if I scroll down, they have this animation here. And I thought, oh, it could use some interactivity and a reinforcement animation. Like currently, you can't really interact with this, and all you have is this. I felt like it would really work better if it has a reinforcement animation that shows what happens. And that is why I added this payment, this POS machine and the payment card animation here. So once you block your card, you see payments are declined. So we are not leaving anything to the user's imagination. We are really telling them this is what happens. When you block your card, payments are declined. And with just a toggle, you can unblock your card and payments are going to be enabled. You can now start making payments with your card again with just this single toggle. So this is where I got the animation for. I just redid the animation. I did some design in Illustrator, then I animated in After Effects. Then after that, I brought it into Lottie Creator, where I did the segment. Let me just show you the 3 segments. I have just 3 segments for this particular animation. It's a very straightforward one. The first is the intro scene. The second is the unblock card segment. And the third and the last one is the block card segment. So those are just the 3 segments that we are using for this particular animation. And then after adding my segments, I just went into state machine and I created just like I said, I used just 3 segments. I'm using only one input and only one interaction. Let me just quickly show you how to set that up. So I've created a new state machine here. I'm going to bring in my intro scene. Let me just play that so you can see what it looks like. So the next thing I want to bring is my card unblock segment. And for me to move from this intro scene to the card unblock segment, I want the users to be able to click on the toggle button here. So the first thing I need to do is create an input that I'll use to drive the transition between the intro scene and the card unblock segment. So I'm just going to create a single input, which is going to be a boolean. I'm going to call it card unblock and block toggle is a boolean, and I'm going to leave it at false in the beginning. So once it is toggled to true, it's going to move to the unblock state. So I'm going to save this and I'm going to use it to add a transition between these 2 segments. Add a simple condition: when card unblock and block toggle is equals to true, move into this state. So let's try that out. And if I toggle it to true, it moves into the card unblock state. Yeah. So the next thing I want to do is I want to enforce loop. So I don't want, once the animation is in this particular segment, I don't want users to be able to click. I want the first intro scene to complete playing before users can start interacting with this animation. So I want that intro scene to fully play, and then you can now toggle between the card block and unblock animation. And that is why I have enforced loop here. This is not a loop per se because we are playing it just once, but that's how it works in state machine. So I've enforced the loop. This intro scene is going to completely play before we can start interacting with the toggle button. The next thing I want to do is bring in my card block segment. I'm just going to drag it into my canvas here. I'm going to stop this for now. Then I want it to be like it's still the same input that we drive the animation from the unblocked state to the blocked state. So how do I do that? I'm just going to use the same input to add a transition between these two segments. So I'm just going to connect it and then use the condition. Once click is equals to false, move back to the card block segment. Then let's just try that out now. So I'm going to toggle this to unblock the card. Then if I change it to false, I'm going to block the card back. So that's good and done. The next thing I want to do is I want to move from this state to the block state, then be able to move between these two states. I'm just going to add a transition from the card block segment, the state, to the card unblock segment. And I'm going to use this same input. Is equals to true. I'm saying this input, card unblock and block, which is a boolean, when it is equals to true, let's move back to the unblock state. So what happens now is the intro scene starts playing, and when it finishes, the user can now toggle the can now interact with the toggle to move to the card unblock state. And once that finishes, users can now click on it again to block the card, and they can now switch between block and unblock with this same toggle, with this single input. We are using just one input for this interactive animation. So we've basically built the building block for this interactivity. The next thing we need to add is real life interaction, so people can actually click on this toggle here. And that is like very straightforward. Just go to the interaction tab, click the plus icon. The type of interaction is going to be click, and the scene is going to be my toggle BG. This might be on mobile devices, it might be displayed on mobile devices, so I don't want to use the circle itself to drive this animation. I want the green or red BG to drive the animation. So on mobile devices it might be smaller, so if people can still be able to click the green or the red bar depending on the state. If it is currently on block, it's going to be green. If it is blocked, it's going to be red. So if people can essentially click on that button, I want it to change state from being blocked to being unblocked. So I've chosen the layer. The next thing I want is to choose action. And I want to choose toggle boolean as my action because I want that click to change states between true and false, which will then change segments between block and unblocked. Inputs, and I'm going to choose the only inputs we have. I'm going to save this, and state machine restarts the animation. And now we can now interact with this particular toggle here. I can click on it to move to the card unblock segment. Then I can click on it to move to the card block segment. Then switch between these two segments, the card blocked and the card unblocked segment, as the user may like. It's like a very, very straightforward animation. I just thought of adding the spice to the existing animation that Kuda has. They are using LottieFiles animation, which is like super cool. But now that state machine is here, we can just make it a little bit better with interactivity and reinforcement animation. So that's it for this particular video. Thanks for watching. Bye.